How many of you seated here today, your parents? So put up your hands as high as you can, and you're being proud as a parent, aren't you? Right, great. So I can see that there's quite a majority of us seated here, our parents, and I'd like to show you two images. Alright, so the first image is this. I'd like you all to just recall a time. So for all the parents who are seated here, I'd like you to recall a time where you can remember that smile and the joy on your child's face. So just close your eyes and bring this memory to your mind. Just savor this good memory. How does that feel like? The special moments that you enjoy the quality time together. Perhaps that first moment that your child smiles at you. What are you feeling inside in your body? Just taking all of this goodness in. Because this is a beautiful way to enhance your relationship with your child. To remember all the good times that you spend with your child. And this is what makes it so memorable. But there will also be times in which you will notice that, my child is really getting me. Are there those moments that you feel angry? Are there? You know, for those moments that your child kind of like press on your button? So those times that perhaps, you see that your child kind of misbehaves, and what do you notice happening to yourself? So think, for example, maybe your child kind of speaks back at you. What will you notice yourself feeling at that point in time? Anyone just shout it out. Well, how will you feel? Sorry? Tense. And where do you feel this tense sensation? Right, at the back of the neck, at the shoulders. So along with this sensation of being tense, how are you feeling emotionally? What emotion would you describe? So just now I think Dr. Gregor Lang was speaking about emotion awareness. So when your child kind of speaks back at you, how are you feeling in your body? Anger, right? So do you realize that what is being triggered here is actually the amygdala? So we have spoke so much about the brain. And I'd like just to kind of consolidate and encode this information once again. It's about the amygdala, right? So these are the images that I wanted to show you. Right, okay, great, thank you very much. So this is what I was referring to, right? The image of a young child being happy. So maybe I'd like to hear from you, how many of you seated here, you can identify more with this image on the left? So just put up your left hand. Right? Put your left hand. Alright? So you can identify more with this image. And put your right hand if you can identify with the image on the right. So like fewer. Alright, so what I'd like to share with you is that it is quite likely that you experience moments of both. Right? We experience the delight of raising your child. But there will also be moments that you experience that your child kind of pushes your buttons and you get all worked up, and the story goes on. You begin to yell at your child and stop it. And then what's really happening here is that your amygdala is being triggered. So when you begin to reprimand your child, is it likely that your child will listen to you? Probably not, because it is equally likely that your child's amygdala is being triggered as well. So that's why it's not a good time to tell him what to do when he's feeling that emotionally. And that's why mindfulness is so important. It's about practicing that sense of awareness. Awareness of how you're really feeling inside. So there was actually a study done in 2015 by the OECD PISA assessment of students' well-being in 2015. And what they found was that this is really interesting. So they got parents to kind of rate what are some of the parent-child activity that they do once a week. So this is one thing that they found, okay, which is spending time speaking or talking to the child is the activity that actually gets the child to be 62% more likely to be satisfied with their life. So there are other activities, but among all these activities, what was really interesting is that the activity of speaking, of the parent speaking with their child, is the most strongly associated with the child's satisfaction with life. What does this mean? This is so important because the value of connection, the value of spending quality time with the child. And nowadays, how often do we make time to connect? Perhaps you do. We connect with this. Guess what I'm going to pick up? The mobile phone, yes, right. So we often connect with this. But isn't it interesting how this phone has the ability to connect us when we are physically apart? Yet ironically, it serves to disconnect us with the person in front of us. I have seen so often, when I go to schools to conduct the course for the students, it is so difficult to get the students to put their phones away. So normally I'll bring a box, right? I'll bring a box, I'll bring the class, and I'll say, we're going to invite you to place your phone right here. And they're like, why? Cannot, I will die if I put my phone there. Right? And they got all stressed out because they cannot disengage with their phones. And when I asked them why, this is what they said. Because when I go home, my parents are using their phone as well. Everyone's using their phone. Right? So I think spending time just connecting and talking to the child is really important. So this is another key finding from the study. This is what they said. Teenagers who feel part of a school community and enjoy good relations with their parents and teachers are more likely to perform academically and also be happier with their lives. And isn't it important that the child happiness takes center stage over and above the academic performance? Because ultimately, you may fail a test, you may not pass this exam, but there's many other exams, right? But what's really important is this sense of happiness. And as parents, as a teacher conducting mindfulness course, I guess it's really important to just see that joy. When they begin to learn the practices of being mindful, of being connected to the present moment. So this is what we are doing, at Brahm Centre. So in fact, in mindfulness, we do a short research, just a literature review. We realize that mindfulness is actually emerging as a preventive approach, right, to enhancing parent-child relationships. So the first one is really in a study in 2016, right? This study is about Lisa May and her colleagues. They actually find that after 8 weeks mindfulness program for both parents and children, they found a few things. The first thing is they find that parents actually reported reduced parental stress. The second thing they found, increased mindfulness. Okay, let's wait here for a moment and think a little bit closer about this. Increased mindfulness. They found something more interesting. They find that when parents had more increase in mindfulness, their kids actually showed the most improvement in terms of, they actually reported the most improvement in family relationship, in terms of being supported, in terms of being trusted. And this is very important because it's not just about talking, right? It's not just about spending time talking to kids, but also allowing them to feel supported and trusted as well. And I think alluding to what Dr. Sarah Lazar was speaking this morning, alongside with all these changes, we also realized that there was actually corresponding changes in the left anterior insula. And this is the part of the brain that is often associated with empathy and emotional processing. So what this all means is that, when parents kind of practice mindfulness, they are more in tune with their emotions and so better able to connect with their children. The second one is increased self-compassion. So a study in 2015 found that parents who are more self-compassionate tend to have kids who actually show lower symptoms of anxiety and depression. And the third one, so in 2013, the Mindfulness in School project, they actually did a mindfulness school-based intervention for 900 over students. And this is what we found. Right? The students actually reported reduced stress levels as well as depressive symptoms and also greater well-being. So at Brahm Centre, we have adopted the 8-week mindfulness in schools project intervention. And these are some of the lessons that we conduct for the students who come to our center. But we do it different. How do we do it differently? Right? So Angie would say that it's not just about the kids. What's also important is about the involvement of the parents. So we make it mandatory that parents and children have to attend the course together. Right? And we come to the course together, but what's interesting is we do it separately. So I teach the students, the youth, and Angie will teach the parents. So these are some of the things that we do. We teach them how to pay attention. Isn't it interesting how in schools they don't really teach you how to pay attention? Right? So we teach them how can we begin to use mindfulness to train the mind to stay in the present. We also teach them to bring across the attitudes of curiosity and also kindness, helping them to recognize worry, and also just I think what Dr. Ong was mentioning, eating mindfully. Very important. So I remember there was a time where we brought out the Oreo cookies. The first thing they do, they just put it in their mouth. And before you know it, it's gone. So when I asked them, bring a sense of curiosity to observing this cookie and count. If you have not eaten Oreo cookie, do you realize there's actually many, many triangles on top? Yeah, so the next time you eat it, observe that. Alright. So this is what we found. We did a study and we kind of gave them questionnaires pre and post. And we find that overall there's actually a significant decrease in perceived stress levels. Not only in parents, but also among the students or their children as well. And this was also followed by a significant increase in mental well-being. Another thing we did was kind of drawing a correlation between the changes in mental well-being as well as in terms of the stress levels of the students. And you find that there's a positive correlation. So, as parents' well-being increased, their children stress level actually went down. So we also collected some feedback from the students and 3 themes emerged. The first one, improve stress management. So this is what I said. When I'm in a stressful situation, instead of acting on my feelings immediately, I stopped to breathe and think before doing something. The second one is they actually display a calmer disposition. I'm using mindfulness to calm myself down, using the dot beat. Right? And the last one is better emotional regulation. So you see here and here again, you see this word dot beat. So I'm going to share with you a tip later. How can you do that? Alright? We also invited the students the youth to share what do you observe of your parents? Right? So your parents went through the course. Any changes you notice in them? Well, the first thing is they notice positive changes in the parents' attitudes towards them. More patient, more understanding, more loving. The second one is they also noted a more positive parent-child relationship. So I think the key thing here is that, every time my mom gets mad, she reminds herself to breathe. Don't we wish all our moms are like that? To breathe. Yeah. Alright, and I think this is especially salient. We kind of get this a lot, which is my parents are less naggy, less angry, and less impatient. Right? So I think coming back to what I mentioned about spending time to talk to the children, one very important thing is how do we communicate? So if the child actually perceives you to be nagging, it is more likely they will not listen to you. Right? So it's also being aware and being mindful of what's coming out from our mouth. Right? What are we trying to say? So we measured some changes for the parents, and similarly we also see the trend of being calmer. The other one is greater self-awareness. So this parent, she said, I learned to be more aware of the impact of my words and tone of my voice on my children. I learned to reflect on my expectations of my kids and to rethink them in some instances. Right, so let's just hear one of our participant. Her name is Sarah, and this is what she has to say.
I become more mindful of my words with my children, and also to be more aware of their feelings. I respect them as individuals.
So the other one is we also invited parents to share what changes do they notice in their kids. So we shared that in terms of being more calm, and the other one is also very important. Both my daughters are happier, right? And they are able to stop much faster when they throw a tantrum.
And for my kids, they have become more mindful, especially my younger one. He's more mindful and aware of his emotions, can control his emotions better now.
Alright, so this is a testimonial given by a parent saying that kids are better able to control their emotions much better now. So really, in summary, what we noted was that there's actually more calmness among the parents. There's stress. In terms of parenting style, what was really significant is mindful speech. Right? Being aware of, is it true? Right? Is it beneficial? Right? Is it the right time, right place? Being able to stay calm, changing expectations. And the last one is that they noted that the parent-child relationship, children are much calmer. Right? They are better able to communicate. So over here, I'd like to leave you with 3 tips. Alright, and these 3 tips are calm, connect, calm, and consistent. So I think that this does not just apply to parents, but it's also applied to all of us here. Because if we think about it, we are all children of our parents. Right? So this is something that we can bring forth when we make the intention to. So the first one I'd like to offer you is to connect with presence. Right? Gone are those times where you notice that we're going to use the paper cups to connect, and really listen. But in fact, that's what the landlines do, right? They really carry the voice. But really connecting with presence means that are we able to recognize the times that our mind wanders away? The times that we are speaking to the child, are we really here? Right? So making the intention to bring yourself into this moment, right? And really connecting to it. The second one is calmness on demand. So if you take a look at this picture, when we bring this sense of calmness, there's this sense of being still. And that's where we are better able to respond much better. So this is where I can offer you the dog bee practice. Alright, so just take this time to just stop. Feel into your breath. Feel the out breath. And the third step is to be present. And the last one I'd like to offer you is consistency through modeling. Right? And nothing beats being a good role model for the child and being consistent about it. Alright, so I'm going to show you a short clip about how harmful some of the words can cause us to harm.
你不丢人，我还嫌丢人呢。你看看人家孩子怎么做的，看看你怎么做的。
你说你能考上干嘛？他一看这个考了点分，你也扶不上墙里。
我叫朝夕，16岁。
我叫唐亮，16岁。
我叫张强。
在我12岁的时候，俺爸俺妈分开了，俺妈每天骂我，经常让我去死，
说我没用，说我是废物，
从来都没夸过我。我记得骂我最多的都是骂我直脑子，直脑子，直脑子。弄了一把枪，找那个赌场里最有钱的人，拿枪把他给杀了。
所以就去后厨拿了把斧子给他砍了。
我拿了个水果刀，捅了他2刀。
别丢人了，就这样的一些话。
绝对是没想到，没想到这么严重。
啊，以后说话真得注意了。
不按照我的思维走呢，我就容易发火。得改嘛。
Indeed, words are more powerful than we think. So, as we become role models, become the leaders of our own personal life, let us be mindful in both our speech and our actions. So I'd like to leave you with this quote by Dan Siegel. When we become parents, we often see ourselves as our children's teachers. But we soon discover that our children are our teachers as well. Thank you.